Ash Ketchum wants to be the very best, like no one ever was. But in order to do this, he has to have a wide range of Pokemon at his disposal. These Pokemon range from the weak and forgettable to the strong and well-known. But which of these pocket monsters is truly the most powerful? I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and this is Ash's original anime series Pokemon, Weak to Powerful. But real quick, if you love Pokemon and anime, make sure to check out our new Pokemon Villains Weak to Powerful video over on our anime channel Otaku Binge. We just released it today to go along with our Pokemon Villains Evil to Most Evil video. And we're releasing lots of anime videos over there in our usual binge formats. And one final heads up, our Pokemon channel, Pokebinge, is coming very soon as well. Or if this is the future, we'll link the first video on screen now. The Pokebinge channel will focus heavily on the video games and trading card game, so hit the notification bell over there as well. Now, as the title implies, we'll be talking about the Pokemon original anime series, which includes Indigo Plateau, Orange Islands, and the Johto Journeys. Anything after Ash leaving his team behind to head to the Hoenn region is not included. Every other Pokemon before that is fair game, as long as Ash owns that Pokemon, even if it's only for one episode. So, as per usual, we'll be starting with the weakest Pokemon on Ash's team, and working our way up to the most powerful. With that said, Ash's weakest Pokemon is definitely Raticate, which he got from an unnamed gentleman. Raticate was only owned by Ash for less than an episode when he traded away his Butterfree to the aforementioned man. A terrible trade, I might add. Granted, the Raticate was shown to easily best a random trainer's Starmie when it first appeared. However, it was shown that it was almost beaten by Butterfree before the gentleman called off the battle. Raticate doesn't do much during its appearance, hence its lowest ranking on our list. Outranking Raticate is Butterfree, who is canonically stronger. Butterfree was initially caught as a Caterpie and one of Ash's first Pokemon. He was beaten severely in his first fight against Pidgeotto. However, he was later able to take out Team Rocket's Ekans and Koffing. After he evolved into a Metapod, he was able to break a Pinsir's Pinchers by hardening. He then blocked a blow from a Beedrill, which allowed him to evolve into a Butterfree. As Butterfree, his multiple attacks made him a difficult opponent to pin down. He managed to free the swarm of Butterfree from Team Rocket and stopped a hive of Beedrill with his Sleep Powder. However, he lost to a slew of Pokemon, including Sandshrew, Staryu, and the giant Tentacruel. We ranked Butterfree as weaker due to his below-average typing, and his number of losses with not enough victories to make up for them. The next of Ash's Pokemon is Pidgeot. Initially caught as a Pidgeotto, it overwhelmed the much weaker Caterpie when it first appeared. It did get severely weakened by Pikachu's Thunderbolts and caught by Ash. It was then used against Samurai's Pinsir, but lost to the stronger Bug-type Pokemon. Pidgeot is like Butterfree because it doesn't have a whole lot of wins under its belt. It beat Misty's Starmie by throwing it into a wall and severely injured Giovanni's Rhydon. However, the massive slew of losses drags the Pokemon down in terms of ranking. It was beaten by Brock's Geodude and Koga's Venonat, even having its Gust attack absorbed by the giant Gengar. It does show a few feats of strength, like evolving out of desperation and leading a flock of Pidgeys to beat the antagonist Fearow. It's also able to tow Team Rocket's hot air balloon practically by itself. Pidgeot is not particularly weak, but it is outclassed by Ash's other Pokemon, who win more consistently. We're sad that we have to place him so low, but up next is Totodile. Totodile was caught by Ash during his time in Johto and started off the journey strong. In his first appearance, he was able to knock both Misty and Ash down with his water gun. He was also able to send Team Rocket blasting off relatively easily. However, after he is caught by Ash, he has very few redeeming moments. He was able to escape a Twister and then defeated Christopher's Kingdra, who started it. He beat a Sneasel that eluded him before he was able to defeat Jesse's powerful Charizard. However, besides these three victories, he is probably the one Pokemon on Ash's team that loses most often. He lost to Whitney's Miltank twice, Janina's Onix, Misty's Poliwhirl, and Dorian's Lantern, among others. He doesn't win more than Pidgeot, but his major victories are against much more powerful Pokemon. The mighty crab Pokemon, Kingler, ranks next on our list. Originally caught as a Krabby, Kingler was originally relatively small for a species of Pokemon. During its first appearance, it was beaten down by Ash utilizing a stick before being caught. It quickly became a pertinent member of Ash's team, defeating Mandy's Exeggutor before evolving mid-battle due to the intensity of the fight it was in. He beat Mandy's Seadra and Golbat single-handedly and dispatched Pete's Cloyster during their fight. However, he also lost to Pete's Arcanine despite the type advantage and was left at Oak's lab for a while during the series. He returned to Ash's team during the World Cup tournament and managed to beat the Poliwhirl that bested Totodile. Kingler was also defeated by a powerful Psychic attack from Psyduck. He was later injured while rescuing a trio of runaway Voltorb and replaced by Squirtle. Kingler is not particularly weak, his Crabhammer being a powerful attack by itself. However, Kingler's lack of screen time stops it from ranking any higher. Next up, we have Primeape, the pig monkey Pokemon. Primeape is the first fighting type Pokemon that Ash catches, and is a decently powerful fighting type at that. He initially appears as a Mankey that Ash attempted to catch. Even as a Mankey, he was able to beat up Ash and steal his hat. He was also able to punch Jessie hard enough to send her flying, and was also able to beat up Brock. Like many other Pokemon, he has sent Team Rocket blasting off, which is not an amazing feat, but just another show of his strength combined with everything else. His time in Pokemon battles is not as concrete, although he did beat other fighting types and helps Ash win the P1 Grand Prix. Primeape then went with Anthony to do more training and become stronger. He wasn't around for too long, so we can't rank him any higher. Maybe a little surprising to some, but Phanpy is up next. However, he is one of few who has actually lost to Team Rocket. In the case of Phanpy, he lost to them twice. He also lost quickly to Price's Dugong, and again to Macy's Quilava. Sure, he can take down a rogue Machop, and Macy's Slugma, but even those feats are middling at best. However, his strongest feat is his ability to knock trees down utilizing his body, which is difficult to do for most Pokemon. But even the tree knocking feat is not really good enough to rank it any higher on our list. Next we have Lapras, the transport Pokemon. This Lapras was from a herd of Lapras that didn't particularly like humans, especially since this specific Lapras was abused by 3 boys. Ash eventually gained its trust and caught it, making it a member of his team. During his time on the team, Lapras was used extensively for travel, carrying Ash, Misty, and Tracy amongst the islands during their adventures. While its traveling skills are impressive, its time in battle are not nearly as such, losing to Danny's Nidoqueen during their fight and dealing a double knockout to Gengar during their battle. Lapras did, however, take out Captain Crook's Tentacruel that terrorized its herd, and was then released. Its decent type combination and utilization of Ice Beam is also a good mix. From dinosaurs to bulls, Ash's 30 Tauros rank next. In sheer numbers, this herd of bulls is a force to be reckoned with. During Ash's time in the Safari Zone, he tried to catch a variety of Pokemon. However, a Tauros would always run in front of the Pokeball and get caught instead. As far as we're aware, we only ever see one Tauros used, which is the one we'll be talking about. It wasn't used often, but it was recalled in a battle against Gengar and later against a Venusaur when its Fissure attack was useless due to the sandy terrain. It was beaten by both Drake's Dragonite and Gary's Nidoqueen during their fights, both of which were powerful Pokemon. However, it's not all losses, as Tauros managed to overcome a Venusaur's mighty Solar Beam and beat it. It later beat Fernando and his supposedly unbeatable Tauros. Tauros kind of falls into the trap of Ash's team where it isn't used enough to be considered a consistent winner or loser, and its true power can't really be ranked. But as it stands, we rank it here, in a decent position due to its pretty impressive feats all around. Next up is the single-horn Pokemon Heracross. Heracross is amongst the list of Pokemon who actually let Ash catch them during his adventure. This bug-type Pokemon is also shown consistently trying to ingest some of Bulbasaur's nectar. Whether this makes them stronger is unknown, but it's something worth pointing out to some degree. During his first fight, he easily outclassed Rochelle's first Donphan, but was then defeated by the more experienced one. He also beat Blade, the Scizor, a very powerful bug-type Pokemon. Heracross was even able to dodge Scissor's quick attack. He also defeated Gary's Magmar despite his type disadvantage, and was then beaten by Gary's Blastoise afterwards. Heracross is not only fast, but he's also a decent fighter, and has a decent amount of wins under his belt during his time fighting for Ash. The adorably dangerous Cyndaquil is up next. Cyndaquil was a wild Pokemon that Ash wanted to catch from a forest supposedly filled with Cyndaquil. Before being caught, he was still a pertinent threat. He destroyed a Team Rocket mecha using his flamethrower, and beat Koji's Sandslash despite the type disadvantage. He is among the few Pokemon to use a move on a human, badly burning Koji when they tried to kidnap him. However, he was seen as relatively weak at first because he couldn't ignite when he wanted to. He had to wait to be warmed up, which almost caused him to lose to Bugsy's Spinarak. However, it did come back and defeat Bugsy's Scyther. After going through some training to ignite purposefully, he was able to beat a hive of Beedrill and a Skarmory during a rematch. He almost managed to beat Jasmine's Steelix and Price's Dugong, two powerful Pokemon that seemed insurmountable. Still, he doesn't always win. He loses to Jackson's Magneton despite the type advantage he has, and is also beaten by Morty's Haunter and a Magby. Ash's first shiny Pokemon, Noctowl, is up next. Noctowl, like a few of the other Pokemon in Ash's repertoire, is smaller and supposedly weaker than a normal member of its species. However, being from a relatively smart Pokemon species, it's able to escape Dr. Wiseman's traps and hypnotize him at multiple points. Due to its psychic powers, it was able to marshal Cyndaquil, Totodile, and Pikachu's powers to destroy a Team Rocket mecha. It's then caught by Ash and becomes a recurring member of the team. Its use of its powers allows it to be one of the trickiest members of Ash's party to deal with, able to scare off a Fearow by pretending to be a Charizard. It used Foresight on Morty's Ghastly, allowing Cyndaquil to knock it out of commission. It even managed to beat both Morty's Haunter and Gengar after Cyndaquil lost. However, one of the most notable feats is when it manages to carry a plane heading to Olivine City, which shows immense strength. Noctowl is also one of the very few Pokemon in Ash's teams that doesn't have countless losses under its belt, the only notable one being a loss to Harrison's Steelix. Moving on to one of the original starters, Bulbasaur is next. Bulbasaur is a relatively strong member of Ash's team. When it first appears, it outclasses both Misty's Starmie and Ash's Pikachu. It's able to deflect the giant Team Rocket vacuum and its Vine Whip. Its vines are used quite often in battles and throughout the series, using it to escape the sinking SS Anne, steering the Ice Sled, or blasting Team Rocket away. Bulbasaur is one of the few Pokemon who is strong enough to resist evolution, preferring his time as a Bulbasaur. Apparently, Bulbasaur is also a natural-born leader, since he helps lead around the Pokemon back at Oak's lab. Bulbasaur was used so often that he has plenty of wins and losses under his belt. He's single-handedly defeated a slew of Pokemon, including a Cubone, Graveler, and a Pinsir. On the other hand, Bulbasaur has lost to Duplica's Ditto, Drake's Electabuzz, and Ephraim's Skiploom, but he does get to hold the fact that he managed to take out the shiny Magneton Ash's other Pokemon had trouble with. Bulbasaur is a powerful Pokemon, but he is outclassed for various reasons by the rest of our list. Moving on to the sludge Pokemon, Muck. Although it doesn't have a lot of screen time, Muck is shown to be a pretty powerful member of Ash's team. It led a group of Grimer and knocked out the Pokemon in a relatively large city, which is a massive feat on its own. It also required the combined might of Pikachu and Magneton to weaken it enough to catch, and even after it was caught, it stunk to high heavens. He was able to beat the Bellsprout that had previously taken out Bulbasaur and Pikachu, and was remarkable for absorbing pretty much any attack thrown its way. It also has the honor of fighting Gary's Blastoise to a stalemate and was only ever defeated once, by Gary Scizor. There's no denying that Muck is pretty powerful. Coming in at our number 5 most powerful spot, we have the leader of the Squirtle Squad and resident firefighter, our good friend Squirtle. Squirtle is the final of the 3 Kanto starters that Ash catches, and is a strong member of his team. He is physically strong enough to carry Ash over his head, a weight almost 4 times Squirtle himself. It's not even a one-off fluke, as he consistently carries Ash and others through the water when the need arises prior to the introduction of Lapras. He's managed to beat Rudy's Starmie, Drake's Onix, and Macy's Electabuzz, which proved a challenge for Ash's other Pokemon. However, like a lot of Ash's other Pokemon, Squirtle has lost to many opponents. He lost to Blaine's Ninetales, Giovanni's Machamp, and he was defeated by Drake's Dragonite. Squirtle is shown to have good aim with his water gun, tying against Sissy's Seadra, and was able to knock the GS ball out of a runaway Quagmire's mouth. Squirtle then became a firefighter and hones his powerful water abilities to help people. Not only a great Pokemon, but Squirtle is one of the physically stronger members of Ash's team. Just outside our top 3, we have the Leaf Pokemon, Bayleef. Bayleef originally started out as a stubborn Chikorita who fell in love with Ash and grew insanely jealous of Pikachu. Bayleef was not only stubborn but headstrong, willing to fight Charizard despite the considerable strength difference. She was able to knock out the Urban Primeape and led the gang of urban Pokemon before going back to Ash. She's also so stubborn that she will refuse to be recalled to her Pokeball at times, showing considerable willpower. She's defeated Bugsy's Spinarak, Misty's Staryu, and Jessie's Arbok on different occasions. She's also strong enough to beat Chuck's Machoke with strategic movements and Chuck's Poliwrath, which had previously beaten down Pikachu. She was able to throw Ash hard enough that he could pierce through Team Rocket's hot air balloon, and even managed to beat Harrison's Houndoom during their brawl. However, she isn't without her faults, as she did lose to Harrison's Blaziken, Gary's Blastoise, and Bugsy's Metapod, among others. That said, Bayleef is definitely one of Ash's strongest Pokemon. But our Bronze Medal of Power has to go to Ash's favorite fire type, Charizard. Charizard was originally a Charmander abandoned by a trainer named Damien for allegedly being too weak. But after he joins Ash's team, he proves that wrong. He can melt a hole in the hull of the capsized St. Anne, subdues a berserking Primeape, and is able to beat both Erica's Weepinbell and Koga's Golbat. He's the only Pokemon in the original series to surpass Ash's skill level after evolving. He becomes disobedient as both a Charmeleon and a Charizard. Despite that, as a Charizard, he's able to defeat Blaine's powerful Magmar, and attempts to fight the legendary Mewtwo with brute force. He can carve an Ice Sled in a single attack, beat Drake's Electabuzz, defeat all 3 of Casey's Pokemon, and team up with Pikachu to beat Alakazam and Marowak. Charizard belongs to a group of Ash's Pokemon who are smaller and weaker than the wild versions. He is then left in the valley to train to get stronger. Charizard is even the Pokemon able to knock the legendary Entei away with a Fire Spin. However, he does lose sometimes, like when he lost to the aforementioned Entei and Unknown, Harrison's Blaziken, and Ted's Poliwrath. But when you have a Pokemon who can evaporate an entire gym's water supply in one attack, it goes to show the kind of power that Ash wields. Ash's ace Pokemon, Pikachu, earns our Silver Medal of Power. Pikachu was Ash's first Pokemon and is the Pokemon he's used throughout every one of his journeys. Despite being a relatively weak Pokemon at first, Pikachu has grown into a massive threat with a ton of power. He's able to send out powerful shocks that can defeat huge swaths of Spearow at once. He's the one member of Ash's team who constantly sends Team Rocket blasting off during their encounters. Pikachu's also shown to be smart enough to utilize enemies' weaknesses, even if they have a type advantage. He uses Rhyhorn's horn as a lightning rod to defeat it, and turns on Brock's gym's sprinkler system to defeat Onix with water. He defeats Arbok, Weezing, and Meowth all at once with a single Thunder Shock at one point. However, Pikachu does lose every now and then, losing to Whitney's Miltank, Morty's Ghastly, Chuck's Poliwrath, and Jasmine's Steelix. However, what ranks Pikachu so high is how adamant he is at winning. He will fight despite being heavily injured, and refuses to evolve to be on par with Surge's Raichu. Pikachu is only slightly outranked by our gold medalist, but that power difference is still noticeable. Winning the Gold Medal of Power is the powerful sleeping Pokemon, Snorlax. Snorlax is a large Pokemon who consistently sleeps or eats, but is well known for being a highly defensive and powerful barrier. Even with the combined might of Ash, Misty, Tracy, and Team Rocket, he could not be taken down. He sent Jesse and James flying with Mega Kick, stopped a giant rampaging Rhyhorn, and sent it flying with Mega Punch, defeated the giant Mecha Meowth, and sent Team Rocket flying with a Hyper Beam. He broke the weigh-in scales at the sumo tournament, and then beat Poliwrath and Machamp with no trouble because he wanted the year's supply of food. He defeated Claire's Kingdra and Gary's Arcanine in Nidoqueen. He won against Harrison's Steelix and Hypno, being unaffected by Steelix's Wrap attack. His win-loss ratio is surprising, as he only lost twice, once to Claire's Gyarados and once to Gary's Scizor. Snorlax is 100% the strongest Pokemon on Ash's team. Even Ash knew this, only using him when absolutely necessary due to his heavy eating and sleeping habits. With our weak to powerful spectrum wrapped up, let's award some medals. The Gluttony medal obviously goes to Snorlax, who eats all the time, like most of the time he's on screen. In fact, Snorlax also takes the Sloth medal because when he's not eating or fighting, he's sleeping. The Wrath medal goes to Primeape because, like most Primeape, this one is an angry Pokemon that makes its living off its anger. Pikachu smugly takes the Pride medal because if you've watched the first couple of episodes, you realize how smug and stubborn Pikachu used to be. The Envy medal goes to Bayleaf, who is completely envious of Pikachu's place as Ash's ace Pokemon until she evolves into Bayleaf and mellows out. In a similar vein, Bayleaf also gets the Lust medal due to her intense crush on Ash. But let us know in the comments section if you agree with our ranking. And if you love Pokemon and anime, make sure to subscribe to our anime channel, Otaku Binge. We just released Pokemon anime villains Weak to Powerful, so continue the binge over there. But most importantly, stay wicked.